Before television could put tomorrow in every living room, General Motors loaded it into 12 enormous red machines and sent them rolling down America's main streets. They were called Futurliners, but they were not buses, and they were never meant to carry passengers. Each one was a theater, a museum, and a billboard on wheels. Their mission was almost impossibly ambitious: make the future feel real to millions of people. And for a few remarkable years, they did exactly that. The story begins in Chicago in 1933 at the Century of Progress World's Fair. America was deep in the Great Depression, yet the fair promised that science, industry, and better design could still build a brighter life. General Motors created a huge presence there, and research chief Charles Kettering saw something bigger than a temporary exhibition. If people could not travel to a World's Fair, why not bring the World's Fair to them? That idea became the Parade of Progress. In 1936, a convoy led by 8 specially built GMC Streamliners began carrying scientific demonstrations from town to town. These long, smooth-sided vehicles opened into display stages. Crowds saw new ideas in lighting, sound, engineering, and transportation without buying a ticket or traveling to a major city. By 1940, more than 9.5 million people had seen the first version of the show. The route eventually stretched beyond the United States into Canada, Mexico, and Cuba. That reach mattered. A fixed exhibition rewards the people who can travel to it, but the parade reversed the journey. The machines crossed the distance, rolled into familiar streets, and made advanced technology part of a local event. GM was learning that spectacle could turn an abstract idea into a physical memory. A person might forget a technical lecture, but not the day a silver streamliner unfolded in the center of town. But GM was already preparing something much more dramatic. In the spring and summer of 1940, General Motors built 12 completely new exhibition trucks. Their chassis and engines came from yellow truck and coach, while Fisher Body formed their steel bodies by hand. The styling came from GM's industrial design operation, and it made the earlier Streamliners look almost ordinary. Each Futurliner stretched 33 feet long, measured about 9 feet wide, stood more than 11 feet tall, and weighed roughly 15 tons. The driver sat alone at the center of an airplane-like glass cockpit, high above the road. Below that cockpit was a rounded red nose, bright chrome trim, and an Art Deco GM emblem that looked less like a corporate badge and more like the seal on a rocket ship. The shape was not borrowed from a production car or a passenger coach. GM created it around a job no normal vehicle had to perform. It needed to survive long highway trips, carry a complete exhibit, open into a public stage, provide its own dramatic lighting, and look futuristic from the far end of a crowded street. That combination explains its strange proportions. The Futurliner was not oversized for vanity. Its body was the building, and its arrival was the opening act. These trucks did not merely represent the future, they were built to arrive like the future. The 12 Futurliners debuted in Miami on February 26, 1941. Their giant side doors opened in 2 halves. The upper section became a canopy, the lower section became a stage, and the machinery hidden inside became the attraction. One truck carried a cutaway jet engine. Another used a moving diorama to show how automobiles were reshaping American communities. There were demonstrations involving television, stereophonic sound, materials, engines, and manufacturing. For families who had never visited a major auto show, this was not a picture in a magazine. It was a 33-foot machine parked within walking distance. The timing, however, changed the message. War was already consuming Europe, so the 1941 tour increasingly connected industrial research with national strength. The convoy visited 43 cities and drew more than 3 million people in less than a year. Then Pearl Harbor was attacked in December. The United States entered World War II, the tour stopped, and the Futurliners went into storage. That could have been the end of the story. 12 strange trucks built for a brief promotional campaign might easily have disappeared during the war years. Instead, GM brought them back. In 1952 and 1953, all 12 Futurliners were stripped, rebuilt, and updated for a new America. Their glass cockpits gained better protection from the sun and air conditioning for the driver. Under the body went a 302 cubic inch GMC inline 6, rated at 145 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. A 4-speed Hydramatic automatic transmission worked with a 2-speed reduction unit. Those numbers make the machine even more fascinating. 145 horsepower was being asked to move about 15 tons of steel, glass, displays, stage hardware and lighting. This was no effortless highway cruiser. It was industrial equipment wearing the clothes of a dream car. The front end rode on 4 separate wheels, each with its own hub and brake assembly. 8 20-inch wheels carried the truck in total. The driver steered from the center, peering down from a cockpit that seemed better suited to an aircraft than a promotional vehicle. And when the Futurliner reached its destination, its real engineering trick began. 16-foot doors unfolded into a stage roughly 14 feet wide. Inside was about 900 cubic feet of exhibit space. A lighting mast rose from the roof to a height of about 18 feet, turning the truck into a glowing landmark after dark. The machine that had looked sealed and mysterious on the road suddenly became an open theater. But one Futurliner was only part of the spectacle. When the third Parade of Progress launched in Dayton, Ohio on May 12, 1953, the traveling operation included the 12 refurbished Futurliners, 32 matching support vehicles, and about 60 staff members known as paraders. Most were young college graduates or veterans. They drove the convoy, built the site, operated 26 major exhibits, and delivered the presentations. They also raised a massive structure called the Aerodome. This external frame tent held more than 1,250 people without interior support poles blocking the audience's view. Inside, paraders gave 40-minute demonstrations about scientific research. Outside, red and white Futurliners stood open like mechanical stages, with show cars and new technology completing the scene. Keeping that operation moving required more than driving from one stop to the next. The paraders had to position the trucks, unfold stages, connect power, assemble exhibits, raise the aerodome from the ground with dedicated winch trucks, present the material, and then pack the entire temporary complex for the next town. The fleet was therefore both show and road crew. Its polished public face depended on days filled with mechanical checks, cables, canvas, lighting, and careful choreography. Imagine the arrival from the perspective of a small American town. First came a convoy of vehicles in matching colors. Then crews transformed an empty field into a temporary campus of science and industry. A lighting tower rose above one truck. A jet engine appeared inside another. A new Corvette or a futuristic concept car might sit nearby. The entire event was free. This was marketing certainly, but it was marketing built around a powerful exchange. GM gained attention and goodwill. Visitors gained access to machines, demonstrations, and ideas they might otherwise never encounter. The product was not just a Chevrolet, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, or Cadillac. The product was confidence and progress itself. The exhibits were chosen to make invisible systems visible. A cutaway jet engine revealed what normally disappeared behind metal. A sound demonstration turned acoustics into something an audience could experience. Our American Crossroads used an animated landscape to show how automobiles changed towns and suburbs. Nearby show cars translated the same promise into chrome, glass, and bodywork. Parade kept switching scale, from the inside of an engine to the shape of an entire community, and the Futurliners gave every subject a theatrical frame. Futurliner number 10 shows how carefully that message was tailored. On one side, it presented a 3-dimensional sound demonstration connected to vehicle acoustics and sound insulation. On the other, it promoted opportunities for young designers through the Fisher Body Craftsmen's Guild. Model building competitions and scholarships invited teenagers to imagine that they could help shape the automobiles of tomorrow. That is the detail that changes the Futurliner from a giant advertising truck into something more interesting. The audience was not only being asked to admire the future, some young visitors were being asked to participate in it, and then the world changed faster than the roadshow could. The final parade reached more than 8 million people in over 150 towns between 1953 and 1956. Yet attendance was smaller than it had been during the earlier tours. Television, once displayed as an exotic wonder by the parade itself, was entering American homes. Auto shows were becoming more accessible. The same progress GM had celebrated was making a vast traveling exhibition less necessary. On July 4, 1956, the Parade of Progress gave its final performance in Spokane, Washington. GM ended the program and eventually sold all 12 Futurliners. The fleet scattered, and the machines that had once traveled together began very different second lives. Their size, which had made them unforgettable, now made them difficult possessions. A Futurliner needed storage, specialized maintenance, unusual tires and body parts, and a purpose large enough to justify moving 15 tons of custom machinery. Without the full parade around them, they were no longer pieces in a coordinated system. They were enormous one-off trucks searching for a second job. Number 10 became a promotional vehicle for Goebel Brewing and was renamed the Goebel Land Cruiser. It later passed to Pulte Construction and then to a Detroit Cadillac dealer, where it served as an enormous roadside billboard. By the 1970s, it was inoperable and missing important trim. A vehicle created to symbolize tomorrow had become a worn-out piece of yesterday, but it survived. Collector Joe Bortz acquired number 10 in the 1980s and donated it to the National Auto and Truck Museum in Auburn, Indiana in 1992. 6 years later, retired GM plant manager Don Mayton assembled a volunteer team and began a restoration in a personal garage in Michigan. Rusted skin and body supports were replaced. Engineers helped recreate the roof structure. Mechanical systems, paint, lettering, lights, and display hardware all demanded solutions that could not be ordered from an ordinary parts catalog. The major work took about 7 years. The result was not a modern custom wearing a vintage body. It was a careful return to the Futurliner's 1953 appearance and operation. Today, number 10 is preserved by the National Auto and Truck Museum and recorded in the National Historic Vehicle Register, with its documentation archived by the Library of Congress. The museum reports that 9 of the original 12 Futurliners still exist in some form, although their conditions and identities vary. General Motors also preserves what it believes is the only surviving original parade exhibit, the animated display called Our American Crossroads. That survival matters because the Futurliner represents a kind of automotive ambition that is difficult to imagine now. GM did not build 12 of these machines to sell tickets. It built them to carry an idea across a continent. They were expensive, complicated, slow, and spectacular. They turned research into theater and corporate promotion into a civic event. There is also a perfect irony at the center of their story. The Parade of Progress helped introduce Americans to technologies that would eventually make the parade obsolete. Television brought demonstrations and advertising directly into the home. The roadshow faded, but the future it promised kept arriving. And that may be why the Futurliner still feels so magnetic. Its technology is old, but its optimism is not. Look at that red body, the high glass cockpit, the chrome ribs, and the doors opening into a stage. It captures a moment when tomorrow was treated as something worth building, loading onto trucks, and sharing face to face. If one Futurliner could roll into your town today, which exhibit would you want inside it? Whatever your answer, the greatest exhibit may already be the truck itself. 33 feet of proof that, once upon a time, General Motors put the future on wheels and drove it straight down Main Street.